Hello, and welcome to Popcorn News. Something to watch while you eat popcorn. In the Popcorn News webcast of February 13th, 2016, I reported on how I had tried to verify a claim made in a revised edition published in 1894 of Sarah Emery's book, 7 Financial Conspiracies Which Have Enslaved the American People. But I naturally wanted to double check. Does the Congressional record for February 20th, 1862 contain a transcript of a Thaddeus Stevens speech where he charges the greenback was never given a fair chance and was a depreciated currency at birth? So I went to the Library of Congress website, thomas.loc.gov, and did a search on Thaddeus Stevens in the Congressional record. But the thomas.loc.gov only acknowledges the existence of the years 1995 and thereafter, apparently. Why can't I examine the Congressional record for February 20th, 1862 at the Library of Congress website? What? Don't they want me to be reading such things? Well, oops, do I have egg on my face? It is not a conspiracy against me by the Library of Congress. At a different Library of Congress URL, they have archived the Congressional Globe records. Before it was called the Congressional Record, it was called the Congressional Globe. At memory.loc.gov, not at thomas.loc.gov, I found what I was seeking: verification that Congressman Thaddeus Stevens had indeed railed against sabotage of the Civil War constitutional greenback, not to be confused with what they loosely call the greenback today. On February 20th, 1862, Thaddeus Stevens spoke on the floor of the House of Representatives. You can check this yourself at memory.loc.gov. You can even, as I did, download TIFF format files of the relevant passages and load them into a PDF viewer. House of Representatives, Thursday, February 20th, 1862. Treasury Note Bill. Mr. Stevens, I asked consent, Conklin. Okay. Speaker, Chairman of the Committee of Ways and Means is entitled to an hour under the rules to close debate. If there be no objection, he can yield to the gentleman from Massachusetts, Mr. Hooper. I thank the gentleman. But there was, okay, here we go. He is opposed to the amendment of the Senate which requires the interest on government notes and bonds to be absolutely paid in coin, because its effect will be to depreciate these notes as compared with coin by declaring them in advance to be so depreciated. It creates a necessity for the government to attain a large amount of coin by purchase. Here's where it gets interesting. Treasury, note bill again, Mr. Stevens. Mr. Speaker, I have a very few words to say. I approached the subject with more depression of spirits than I ever before approached any question. No personal motive or feeling influences me. I hope not, at least. I have a melancholy foreboding that we are about to consummate a cunningly devised scheme which will carry great injury and a great loss to all classes of the people throughout this Union except one. With my colleague, I believe that no act of legislation of this government was ever hailed with as much delight throughout the whole length and breadth of this Union by every class of people without any exception as the bill which we passed and sent to the Senate. Congratulations from all classes, merchants, traders, manufacturers, mechanics, and laborers, poured in upon us from all quarters. The boards of trade from Boston, New York, Philadelphia, Cincinnati, Louisville, St. Louis, Chicago, and Milwaukee approved its provisions and urged its passage as it was. However, it is true there was a doleful sound came up from the caverns of bullion brokers and from the saloons of the associated banks. Their cashiers and agents were soon on the ground and persuaded the Senate with but little deliberation to mangle and destroy what it had cost the House months to digest, consider, and pass. They fell upon the bill in hot haste, and so disfigured and deformed it that its very father would not know it. Instead of being a beneficent and invigorating measure, it is now positively mischievous. It has all the bad qualities which its enemies charged on the original bill and none of the benefits. It now creates money and by its very terms declares it a depreciated currency. It makes two classes of money, one for the banks and brokers and another for the people. It discriminates between the rights of different classes of creditors, allowing the rich capitalist to demand gold and compelling the ordinary lender of money on individual security to receive notes which the government had purposely discredited. So, why am I so interested in this? Number one is that people will try to tell you that the Civil War Greenback didn't work. That is only half right. Lincoln's greenbacks didn't work because they were sabotaged at birth. Why am I so interested in this? It is now the Appomattox of the Federal Reserve. So which way do we go after that? Some will say a Burj Khalifa single global central bank is the answer. Others, however, such as Senator Rand Paul, for example, might say constitutional greenbacks, not private banker controlled money, but money ultimately owned by we the people, is the answer. Thank you for watching Popcorn News.
Yo trabajo sin reposo para poder poderme casar, que yo trabajo sin reposo para poderme casar, y si lo llego a lograr seré un guajiro dichoso.